Hi friends, this is Krish, the Urban Naxal. Friends, we have something like 4, maybe 5, maybe more than 5 personalities. We keep asking, who am I? What is myself? Now your identification details are always the same. You have a particular name, you have a particular address, you have a particular Aadhaar card and so on. So as a biological human being, you are identified by the system, you are marked by a particular identity. But you are not one person, you are at least 4 or 5 or 6 perceived persons. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. Because each of those persons, whether you are aware of it or not, is your responsibility. And quite often we get wrapped up in one person or personality and we lose sight of many of the others. So here's something to help you to remember the different personalities that we have within ourselves. I'm going to start with an example of Aishwarya Rai Bachchan, because it is going to give you a kind of a quick perspective, an overview of what we are talking about. Aishwarya Rai. Let us assume you are a fan of Aishwarya Rai. I am. I was and I still am. I consider her to be one of the most beautiful women of our times. And also one of the most gracious. Some of her dance performances, some of her acting performances, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, for example, amazing performance. One of the most gracious. Now, there are at least 2 personalities here that we can make out straight away. When Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam was being shot, there is one personality of Aishwarya Rai that the directors, the co-actors like Salman Khan and the makeup artists know about. That is the flesh and blood person. So the makeup artist is clearly aware of all the flaws of Aishwarya Rai Bachchan and also all the strong points of her face. And they would have gone to great lengths to emphasize her strengths and to play down her weaknesses, to hide her physical flaws. This is something you and I are not aware of. We are just watching the movie. We are fans. So we don't understand the flaws. There may also have been behavioral flaws. She may have been easy to work with or difficult to work with. She may have been cranky. She may have liked to work with some people. She may have been angry if she was addressed in a certain way or if she was treated in a certain way. We don't know that. That is something that the director and the producer and the co-actors might know. That is something even Salman Khan might know, or others who acted in the movie might know. She might be snobbish. We don't know that. That is something that the clapper boys would know and the cameramen would know. The cameramen would notice that they may say good morning ma'am and she never replied back. We don't know that. Or maybe she was very gracious. She always greeted them with a smile and she made them feel very good. So that aspect of the personality, how she was with her peers, her equals, how she was with her bosses or superiors, if we can call the director and producer her superior, how she was with Salman Khan, co-stars, we will never know. But there is a personality, or there are a range of personalities right there. What we see is the persona. We see that beautiful person. In the dances, someone who, the dance director or the choreographer who went through the motions, who made her practice for Nimbuda Nimbuda, he would know whether she is a hardworking person or whether this dance director or choreographer had to really push her to do the practice. And did she readily adopt those steps, or did she sort of push back and change some of the steps? And did many of the steps have to be changed so that Aishwarya would consent to do them? We will never know. Were there many costume changes because Aishwarya threw tantrums and said, I don't want to wear this? We will never know. So that is something someone else knows about. So I am talking, let us broadly aggregate this. In front of the screen performance and behind the screen performance, we are aware of the in front of the screen personality of Aishwarya Rai. There is a behind the screen or behind the camera, if I can call it that, not exactly behind the camera, on the sets personality of Aishwarya Rai. Two personalities already. Let me give you a third. She had this breakup with Salman Khan. Why? She's a beautiful woman. He's a star, she's a star. But something caused a breakup. He's a handsome guy. He's rich, he's wealthy, he's influential, he's powerful. And yet, there was a breakup. There is something in her personality that rejected Salman Khan, and that is something only Salman Khan would know. That is a personality only Salman would be aware of. Not even Abhishek Bachchan. Not even her husband Abhishek Bachchan would be aware of what it is to be rejected by Aishwarya Rai. You probably, Abhishek does not know it. There is another personality that others know, her parents know. For example, Aishwarya, which Abhishek knows, her parents obviously don't know. Aishwarya the lover, Aishwarya the wife, her parents don't know. There is no way they have of knowing. Her brother or her cousins or her family, her relatives would have a very different picture of this girl who grew up amidst them, who went to school, who went to college. Her classmates would know a side of her. Her teachers would know a side of her which nobody else knows. Her teachers would know about whether she was a good student or a bad student, whether she was a duffer or whether she was a topper, whether they had to explain science or math or grammar to her again and again, or whether she was a good learner. They will never know. We will never know. They obviously know. So there is a personality there. That personality is now buried. It is deep down. It is there with them. We don't know it. We cannot know it because we do not have that same relationship with them, with Aishwarya. Even if they narrate it, it would be a narration of a personality. We would not have a first-hand understanding of that personality. What was Aishwarya like growing up? What was she in school? What was she like in college? Was she glamorous? Was she plain? Was she understated? Was she a party girl? You and I never know. There's a personality as a daughter-in-law that Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bachchan would have to deal with. How she is as a person, as a personality when she is a daughter-in-law. That is something only they know, you don't know. Now, I have been laboring the point quite a bit, but you get the point. The point is that there are many Aishwarya Rais, and the one we know is probably the most superficial manifestation of that person. A beautiful manifestation, a talented manifestation, but a superficial manifestation. We have only limited knowledge. We have only what the camera wants to show us. We don't know anything. Abhishek Bachchan, who probably wakes up next to her in bed, knows a very different person, a very different personality. And that is the fact with all of us. It's the fact with me. What you are seeing right now is a person in front of a camera. He is very aware of what he is saying. But what do I say when I am not aware? How does my daughter, my son perceive me? How does my wife perceive me? What is the personality that they interact with? It's very different. It's a very different personality. It's a very different person. Others, neighbors in my building or friends, how do they interact with me? How do my cousins interact with me? Very different. It's a very different side of me. So, what I'm trying to say here is, See, guys, we have various sides, we have various aspects, and we are the owner of each of these. We need to show to the world our best side, but obviously, we are not on our best behavior at all times. So, one of the frequently observed patterns is something like this. When you go out into the world, for example, when you are at your work, when you are amidst your colleagues or talking to your clients, you are generally your best behaved self, generally speaking, broadly speaking. Some people can be very badly behaved at work but very nicely behaved with their clients. I used to know an advertisement executive. His job was to get advertisements for the magazine, one of the sister publications of the magazine I worked for. And this guy, if you saw him on the phone talking to someone for getting ads, he was the sweetest person ever. He was like, "Yes sir, okay sir." I'm talking about a time before cell phones came into existence. "Yes sir, okay sir, yes sir, I will do it sir, of course sir, we will do it sir, yes sir, yeah, why not sir." The guy went out of his way to be sweet, and then you know how he used to put down the phone? Bastard. Tack, he would crash the phone into the handset. Tack. Bastard. He was that angry. He was that boiling with rage when he put down the phone, but he was the nicest guy to his client. In office, he was an asshole. Everybody knew he was an asshole. He used to really rage around the place and throw his weight around the place and walk into anyone's cabin. And he had this pride. The pride came from the fact that he could convince a client to give advertisements to that publication. So he felt that everyone in that publishing house kind of depended on him. And he had that pride and he used to show it. He used to act like he owned the place. He used to, walk around like he owned the place. I'm not going to name him. Two personalities. One in front of the client facing personality. Another is the office facing personality. Client facing personality, beautiful. Office facing personality, not so much. So now again, let us take a look at all the people who are in sales jobs. Sales jobs, the guys have to be very nice with clients. Now there are people who have other strategies. Some people can be very pushy, can be very demanding, can kind of squeeze and kind of insult the client into making a commitment. I'm of course talking about housing sector, where people are selling under construction property. There are people who have the talent of actually squeezing the client, of slightly insulting him, of being very pushy and demanding and leaning on the client. Whereas they might be very nice to their boss. "Yes sir, no sir, I'll try sir, I'll meet the target sir," whatever. No matter what happens, he will not show his anger or not lean on his boss. That's a personality. So he's using two different parts of his personality. So rather than think of a person as one thing, we need to think of it as a kind of a diamond with facets, and each facet is facing a certain different person or personality in society. So one one facet of the diamond which meets with his wife, one facet of the persona which meets with his client, one facet which meets with his boss, another which meets with his junior colleagues. He may be a completely different person, a completely different animal to his junior colleagues. So one pattern which is frequently observed is a guy who's very nice to the people outside, the neighbors, the work colleagues, much better, nice person, adjusting, accommodating person, but a complete asshole at home. He comes home and he's a complete asshole. He doesn't give a fuck what anybody says or does. He just sort of owns the place. He isn't responsible. He may be extremely responsible outside in his circle. He may take ownership of each and every problem, including problems which are not his own. At home, he's a different personality. He manifests a different personality. You may say he sort of owes it to himself to let him, it's like undressing. It is like chilling. It is like letting it all hang out. Maybe so. Women also have that personality. Women have this difference. I have pointed it out earlier. With bosses, very accommodating, yes sir, no sir, no arguments, no conflict, no, or if there is a conflict, it's a very controlled conflict. At home with husband, totally different story. Doesn't listen to him at all. He doesn't have the right to say anything at all. So, different personality, different persona, different manifestation. Before children, again, there you can see the difference. Some people have this before in-laws and before, house kind of a personality. Sasural mein kuch aur hai, and there's something else in their parents' house. So there can be two different personalities. Oh, she's such a darling. Yes, in the in-laws' place, she's a darling. Yes, but when she comes home to her parents' place, she's not a darling. She throws her weight around. Her sister-in-laws hate her. Or everybody generally feels, "Arey yaar, this woman, what's she doing? Why is she being so pricey?" So that's a personality, and they just manifest it habitually. It is a habit. I am the daughter of this house, so I can do this. I can get away with this. It can be the other way around. Very nice daughter, very bad daughter-in-law. Yeah, that can also happen. Same thing, son and son-in-law also. Can be a very nice son-in-law, but a very rude son. Can be the other way around also. So there are all these different personalities. Then there is one personality with only that person himself internally. There is a voice with which he speaks to himself. There are things that he says to himself. There are things that he thinks about. There are thoughts that he has, which may be vocal thoughts, as in verbal thoughts. Or there may be thoughts which he may not even put into words. Angry thoughts. Could be all kinds of thoughts. There can be all sorts of thoughts which are his secret, which will not be seen outside. Could be ambitions. Could be very high ambitions of himself. Could be an unrealistic sense of self-importance. You may hear it in his own self-dialogue, but outwardly he may be very humble. Inwardly he may be filled with pride. He may have this sense that his life is worth more than everyone else's. He may have that sense, but he could possibly be making a great secret of it and never showing it to the world. You will never see it. You will sometimes see it in an unguarded moment. Can happen. So that personality again is something that only he has and only he or she knows, and it is his complete private self which could potentially be shared if he has a confidant. Could be his wife, could be a girlfriend, could be another friend entirely, could be anybody, but someone, or could be a guru type character who enters into his life and makes him talk. Could be a counselor, a psychiatrist. Could be, potentially could be one of these types. Could be his father or his mother, to whom he discloses and reveals most of his thoughts, if not all of them. That person may have a keyhole glimpse. It will not be the entirety of his personality, because the entirety of a person's personality, private personality, I believe almost never gets shared. If that person is capable of a relationship with someone, and that someone is so empathetic and so nice and open to hearing all the things that he has to say without judging him, then maybe, just maybe, that person gets a keyhole glimpse of that inner person which is not disclosed to the entire world. For the most part, I believe almost everybody carries around a persona which is not shared with anybody. It's a complete secret. And only that person knows what goes on within that persona, what is the inner dialogue, what does he say to himself or what does she say to herself. It can change. It can change. It does change. It may change from year to year. It may change from decade to decade during various phases of his life. In his bachelorhood, he may have had one kind of internal dialogue. In his adolescence, he may have had one kind of internal dialogue, which may have changed as he grew up. And it may continue to change with time, with phases of his life. So, whatever the thing is, that internal part, is it important? Well, it is in one sense. That secret private self is the place from where he derives satisfaction. It is the place from where his happiness comes. His happiness with himself as a human being. It is a place from where he derives the joy of living. And if he doesn't derive the joy of living, then you've got a dissatisfied human being. So that persona, that personality, with whatever self-talk and whatever limitations it has, needs to be nurtured by that guy alone. Aishwarya Rai Bachchan has to take care of, shall we call it, little Aishwarya, who is inside her, who is inside her head, and who will determine whether she is feeling happy, unhappy, dissatisfied, very angry, whatever, happy with each passing day and each passing moment, or angry with each passing day and each passing moment. That little person in there whom nobody knows decides. And that's the reason you need to take care of your little person. You need to listen. I'm Krish, the Urban Naxal. Jai Maharashtra.